Hey guys. So we took our dog in for a scan yesterday because a couple of weeks ago she was having some problems, and we were pretty confident that she was okay because the symptoms she had kind of gone away and she just seems so happy and healthy and fine. Anyway, we took her in yesterday and we honestly weren't expecting to hear anything, but we thought maybe there'll be something. We thought maybe, they were worried it was a tumour, and we thought, okay, if there is a tumour, it must be very early because she seems so fine. Anyway, they shaved her belly and everything, and they started doing the ultrasound. And I don't know what I'm looking at on an ultrasound, but it didn't look good. I don't know why. It just looked quite messy. And I was just sort of trying to hold her and keep her calm, but I was kind of looking at the thing and thinking, oh, it's a bit weird. And then the two vets were both quiet, and the atmosphere in the room changed. And I knew it was really bad because they had been operating under the assumption that there was something. They weren't, they were confident that there would be something, full stop. So when they seemed a bit quiet and a bit taken aback, I thought, well, then it must be something really bad because they were already expecting there to be bad news, And they were saying, look, you can hear there's tumours here and there's tumours here, and they were showing us all her different organs, and they were all full. It was they were all full of tumours, and there was so many. Like, it was really weird and shocking. I think that was the main thing, is it was shocking, like we just weren't expecting to be told that. And they're in like her abdomen, they're in like loads of her glands, they're in her lymph nodes. Her liver looked full, it looked really bad in her liver. And they were not optimistic at all. And obviously they know a lot more than I do what they're looking at on the screen, and they didn't feel good about it. I'm sorry if you can hear the drilling, by the way. It's fucking annoying. It never ends. They didn't know what they were looking at. Sorry. They didn't like what they were looking at. They knew what they were looking at. That drilling is driving me nuts. But yeah, they didn't like what they were looking at. And I don't know what it should look like, but I took their word for it, obviously. Sorry, I'm a bit all over the place. So they basically said they don't know. They take a sample and test it and let us know what kind of cancer it is. And they said the likelihood of it being benign obviously is extremely low because it's like spread so much. And I don't think a benign cancer, I don't think benign tumours do that generally. And they said it's kind of like, well, luckily it hadn't reached her lungs. We were worried because she had a cough, so they were sort of saying that's like incredibly bad if it's in her lungs, as well as all these other places. Luckily it wasn't in her lungs. They did an x-ray on her and her lungs were fine. They said it's probably just inflammation that's coming from the lower half of her body up to her lungs. Anyway, it was appalling news, obviously, and incredibly upsetting, and it was very hard to speak or function or get home, because as obviously there are people who there will other dog owners will understand, and there's degrees of it. I mean, we've had dogs in our family before that I loved, and there's dogs that you love and you care about, and you're sad when something happens to them and they're important. And then there's dogs that you love, there's dogs that like they're just it's not a normal human dog relationship, like, and they're not normal dogs, or it's a special relationship, and that's what she is for us. She's so much more than just a pet, like, and I couldn't even put into words how important she is to us and how much we love her. It's not possible to love a dog more than we love her. And so it was very hard to hear. It's really up and down at the moment. Like, there's times where we both feel quite positive and we're going to like do everything we can, and we're researching all the stuff we can do. And also we're positive because she's so happy at the moment, the dog. Like, she's really greedy. She really wants to play. We had such a fun time this morning on the beach. It was amazing, honestly, like, really good. Like, she just didn't want to go home. I got some videos of it. I'm going to put them up. So I have like a backlog of videos to get through, and I'm going to then like edit lots of shorts and stuff, and of other stuff, because I have to like keep going and keep working and everything. But like, we're taking so much extra time as well, to be with her. And yeah, she was so fun on the beach today. She wouldn't give the ball back. She was running so much. She wouldn't stop like digging holes. She really didn't want to go home. And then she was like desperate for breakfast when she got back. And it's beyond that. It's not just that she's okay and that makes us feel better. She has such a like kind, calming energy, and she just tells you, she tells you to be okay. She kind of like, she communicates it to you. It's hard to describe, but she just has the most incredible energy. Like, and that really helps. So when we're around her, particularly in the daytime, I mean, it hasn't even been 24 hours, but in the daytime today, out and about, like, yeah, it's hard to feel that way. We just felt so happy. And then there's other times it's just like, you just don't want to even, you just start to think like, is life even worth it? Like, because you die, everyone you love dies, and sometimes the pain of that is so bad that you think, is it worth the joy that you experience? But it is. It is worth it. And that's what she taught us. And that's what all of this has brought home, is when we got her, when we met her, me and I understand this is like, boring. I'm getting into a lot of detail about my dog, and to most people this is probably not interesting. So I understand that. I understand it might seem odd that I think anyone would care, but also I just do these videos anyway, just to do them for myself, so I fully understand if watching someone cry about his dog is not appealing to people, or take a trip down memory lane, because I don't think I would, and actually before all of this, whenever I saw content about dogs dying, and I would see once in a while videos would pop up about, like, I put my dog down today, and I'd watch like 30 seconds of it, and I'd be like, I cannot look at that, I can't even, and we I realised this, like, we denied it. We just lived in constant denial of the fact that, and it's not an external denial, it's an internal denial. Externally, we were like, yeah, we know. And we adopted an old dog. And if she doesn't, if we even get a year, it's amazing. And all of this, we said all of this, and you say, yeah, I know it's going to be hard. I know all of this. But actually, when we found out yesterday, and when they were talking about it, and actually thinking about her death, I was like, oh yeah, we never accepted this at all. We were just, or at least I was in complete denial of it, and I didn't. You can intellectualize it, but you can't feel it. At least for me, because the only other time I experienced death was when my brother died, and I was like 12, and I was in a very weird headspace. I didn't really experience death, like, because I didn't as an adult. I'm a completely different person to when I was 12, and so as an adult, I haven't really, because like, grandparents have died, I haven't been like close to, and I still haven't. The dog hasn't died. The dog is alive. I'm talking about it like she's dead, but I'm just talking about the overall process. But yeah, it's suddenly I realised, oh yeah, we don't really, we hadn't really been thinking about this and taking it, understanding it. It's impossible to, of course, and it's in some ways that's a good thing. You're kind of sheltered from it, but in other ways, I think like that finding out that she hasn't got long. Of course, it's a cliche, but it's true. It changes how you think about everything. It changes how you think about time. It changes how you value that time with her. It changes how you value that time with other people. I mean, me and my girlfriend, like we have it makes you think about that. It makes you think, well, one of us will die before the other, presumably, unless we're like, get hit by a tsunami or something. We were watching a tsunami documentary. Like, there was a couple we were watching that it helped, actually, to be honest. We thought we'll just put this tsunami documentary on because they're, it's somehow sort of like comforting to just think about other stuff that's completely distracting and that's like horrible in a different way. Stuff like true crime or like natural disasters, because they just sort of take you away from your own problems. We put the tsunami one on. There was this Swedish guy and he was trying to save people. Sorry, I understand this is the worst video ever, by the way. I'm sorry if you've actually made it this far, but this Swedish guy was trying to save people, and he was stood out on the veranda of the thing he was in, and he was very brave. Like, I was surprised how lax he was. It's a really good documentary. It's a Nat Geo one. And there was this old couple, like probably 70, and they looked like just like a retirement, like kind of slightly overweight, retirement kind of sunburned couple, like trying to just enjoy a holiday in Thailand. And they were getting swept away, and he was on the veranda, and all the water was rushing past, and he tried to reach a hand out to them, and I don't think they could even really see him. And you just watched them just get swept away, like, and just suddenly the water just started moving so fast, and it's full of stuff, there's tables and chairs and cars and stuff, and this couple just got like swept away, and their last moments were just like, presumably they very quickly were separated. They wouldn't have held on to each other in that current. There's virtually no way they survived. Hopefully they just got like a concussion or something. And yeah, completely besides the point anyway. Sorry. But she when we met her, me and my girlfriend, it's weird saying girlfriend, we're essentially married. We've been together for literally a ridiculous amount of time, like 12 years now, but we are essentially, partners just sounds a bit like ambiguous, if you say partner. But yeah, we've basically just haven't formalised the marriage yet, because the paperwork is such a nightmare here, and because we were planning on moving before all of this. We were actively looking to move to another town. We're not going to do that now, but anyway, when we met the dog, we were broken up, and we were in a very, very bad place. And before we broke up, we were in a very bad place, like very, very bad. We had an extremely difficult relationship. I'm talking like very bad, like, just whatever you're imagining. Probably it was really bad, and a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of like porn addiction and psychological problems and familial problems and very bad like backgrounds, both of us, and bad kind of a lot of trauma, a lot of good stuff as well, of course, a lot of good stuff. Like, absolutely, we wouldn't have stayed together that long if there wasn't, like, a lot of things in common, a lot of laughter and fun and like closeness and everything. But yeah, It's bad. And we broke up. We had an extremely hostile, bad breakup. And she was like seeing other guys and stuff. And I was just like trying to sort my life out. But I was completely alone and so poor. And it was just a mess. It was a really bad situation. And we met this dog because this woman wanted someone to look after Luna, our dog. And she advertised on Facebook. She posted on a Facebook group and said, "Can someone look after my dog for like 5 days while I go away for Christmas?" And I was like, "I'll fucking do it. I'd love to do that." You know, I needed the money as well. And I was like, I'll do it. And she was like, okay. And she was talking to me. She was a bit odd, the lady. And she said, okay. And then she stopped replying to me. And I followed up, and I think I saw that she replied to someone else and said that they could do it. And this is funny because this is how me and my girlfriend met. We were talking back on OkCupid. This was like literally the early days of online dating. Like, this was so long ago, before all the nasty like fucking shag apps. Back then you actually had like a detailed profile and stuff. Anyway, we were talking on there, and she stopped replying to me, and then I followed up and was like, hey, you know, we're still talking. I was enjoying talking to you, blah, blah, blah. And then we carried on, and then we met, and then now we're together. And it's kind of funny because if I hadn't bothered to follow up, you know, and the exact same thing happened with Luna. I followed up and I was like, hey, I thought I was going to look after her. You know, I'd really like to. Do you still want me to? I think maybe I offered to lower the price. I basically offered to do it for absolutely fuck all. Like, I just kind of wanted to do it. And she was like, yeah, okay. And you come and meet her then, and you can say hi to her and see if you get on with her. So I went to meet her, and I remember like it was yesterday, the first time I saw her. I remember like I remember where I was and everything. I remember exactly where I was, and I remember where I saw her. And she came along, and she had this fucked up, like, she had like the thing you clip your dog into the car with, into the seatbelt, you know, like the owner had been using that as a collar, which was really weird. And she looked very messy, like she was very scruffy. And she looked just a bit, it was all a bit odd, you know, but I instantly liked her. I saw her from across the road, and I just instantly liked her. And she had this thing on, and they came over and they crossed. I was on like the sort of bit in the middle of the road, you know, and they came over, and I said hello to her, and she said hello to me. And we just instantly liked each other. But it was just calm and quiet, you know, it wasn't like, she wasn't crazy. It was just like, oh, hello. And then the woman, the owner, said, just walk around with her for a bit. And because we went to like a cafe, and I walked around for a bit to see if she'd walk with me, and she was completely fine. Like, she didn't seem bothered that I was a stranger and everything. Which is funny because now she's not like that. You know, she wouldn't go off with a stranger now. She wouldn't leave us. Like, she wouldn't go away even if we split, me and my girlfriend, we were on the beach together with her, and we go opposite ways. She just stands in the middle. She won't. She you know. But she just came with me. She was happy to. And then so it was all agreed. And I took her in, and it was meant to be 5 days. And then at some point, I don't remember if it was during her stay or beforehand, the woman said, could you do 2 weeks, actually? I'm going to stay for longer in the UK. And I was like, yep, sure. And I think she sent me some extra money. It wasn't, I think it was like 200 quid for 2 weeks or something, you know, wasn't much money. And to me at the time it was. And instantly I really liked Luna. She was very strange. But also I didn't really have the environment for a dog. I was in the shittest apartment ever. Like, it was fucking shit. Like, a studio apartment that was clearly illegal. It didn't even have like an oven or a microwave. It had like one of those like plug-in stoves, a tiny sink, and it was where I did the early Big Dome videos, where you could see the washing machine behind me in like my first videos. And the setup hasn't changed that much, really, has it, since then? I mean, it's like, you know, it's not exactly a world of difference. There's just a sheet now covering the mess behind me. But she came to live with me in there, to stay with me. and she was just really funny and weird. And like, for example, she didn't like it if I went up. There was my bed was up on the like ceiling, and she didn't like it when I went up there, and she would like bark at me. And she's maintained that ever since. She doesn't like it if I'm like high up. If I go on like a climbing frame or something, or I go on top of something and she's below, she gets really annoyed and she like barks. And she barks like that, like if we go too far into the sea for her liking, for example, like she sort of barks like a lifeguard, you know? Not that lifeguards bark, obviously, but you know what I mean. She acts like she's a lifeguard. And she was just weird, but she was, and I had to be very, I couldn't get in her face too much, you know, because she was like a bit timid. But anyway, yeah, little things like she wasn't very well kept. Like she had, like her claws were extremely long, for example, and she had a bladder infection because she just kept pissing, and her fur was full of mats, like big mats. And we started thinking this is a bit of weird with this dog, you know. And then I say I've jumped ahead. Basically, I had to go and borrow a blanket, a duvet from my girlfriend because I didn't have a bed for the dog. And when I picked the dog up on the day I took her, like the woman gave me the dog, and we walked off, and Luna like didn't even turn around to see the owner. So I thought, okay, she doesn't like her, like, and that's not true. That isn't true actually, but that was my judgment at the time, was like she doesn't even care that she's just left her owner, you know, and she's coming with me. And so we started to build up this image in our minds. Okay, this dog is like doesn't have a good life, and she was really happy to be with us. And as I said, yeah, like, so I couldn't really care for her by myself. So I was getting my girlfriend Tara involved and saying, like, you know, do you want to come around and look after this dog with me? And she loves dogs, so she was more than happy to. And Tara really wanted to be around me at the time anyway. And she had this other boyfriend at the time, but it was a weird situation, and it was all very, very uncomfortable for everyone involved, basically. And the funny thing was, so we would also have the dog at Tara's place, and her place was way nicer than mine, and we'd bring Luna there. And the guy Tara was seeing at the time was allergic to dogs, and he like couldn't be in the apartment after that. He was like, it was like really bad, you know, and like he was like sneezing constantly, and his eyes were like really red and shit. Apparently, he was like coughing, which was kind of funny because that was one of the first of many things Luna did that were like, they felt like they were deliberate, you know, or it's hard to describe, like they were fate. And so this was Christmas. We had her over Christmas. So we had her on Christmas. We did have a huge screaming argument on Christmas Day, me and Tara. Or it wasn't a screaming argument because we had the dog there. And again, that was the first sign of like, oh yeah, we can't actually scream at each other in front of the dog. We can't have these insane psychotic arguments because there's a dog here and it's not very nice. But we had a huge argument, like a very, very big one, and we like didn't spend most of Christmas Day together. I think, I can't remember, there was a huge strop or whatever. But anyway, she was there, and I think we went back to you know, we got to see each other again on Christmas Day or whatever, and we hung out at Tara's house. And then what started happening was whenever I would leave Tara's place to go back to mine, Luna would like get really stubborn, like, and she would start pulling, and literally like really aggressively being like, no, I'm not going. And then we started, sometimes like Tara would take her for a bit, and when Tara would try to leave mine, she would do the same. Like she just wouldn't go. And it basically, and then if one of us would leave when we were walking, she wouldn't walk anymore until we went with the other one. So basically, she just didn't want the two of us. She didn't want the two of us to be separate. And she would try to stop us. She would try to stop us from leaving. She wanted us to be together all the time. And we were sort of, because we were broken up and it was a tense situation, it was like, well, you have her for a bit, I'll have her for a bit. Sometimes we'll be together, but generally, you know, we'll stay separate. You walk her, I walk her, blah, blah, blah. And she made it really difficult. She really wanted us to be together. And she's obsessed with that, Luna. Like, she wants the family to be together all the time. And she just really wants, like, everyone to be okay and to be together. And it was kind of funny because, you know, we were broken up and everything. And anyway, so it kind of brought us together. And then we basically we got into this situation where we wanted the dog. We wanted to adopt her, and we started to think that the owner was hinting at it, because we were sending photos and she was like, oh, she looks so happy with you. And we were like, okay, because she extended the time, and so my mum was talking to me about it, and she was like, she definitely wants you to adopt the dog and you should offer. And I was like really scared, because I thought, I don't want to. The owner was a bit odd, to be honest, like a bit of an odd lady. And we had, to be honest, at the time, like, and we don't feel this way now, but at the time we had begun to hate the owner. Like, we really were like, this dog deserves better. And we were like really bothered by it, and we could tell like she hadn't been getting any exercise and she was loving it. Like, she was just so happy to be getting long walks and to be looked after and given attention. She just absolutely loved it. And she was so fun. Like, it was so fun to walk around with her. She would do fucking crazy shit. Like one time twice actually, but she ran. We were walking with her off lead in the park, in the main park in Valencia. Turia is like the nicest park ever. It used to be a river, and they drained the river and turned it into a huge long park that goes all the way through the city. It's amazing. And we used to walk her there all the time. And she was off lead, and she like ran off, and she went over to a bush, and then she obviously found a shit, we think it was a human shit, because she jumped. We saw her rolling, and Tara was like, oh god, she's rolling, and like, because she knew, like when dogs do that, it's obviously very bad, because it means they found shit and they're rolling in it. And we ran over and tried to stop her, and she got up, and she's a cream coloured dog, very light fur, and she was like, there was like shit all over her face and all down here. We called it Braveheart, like her Braveheart moment, because she looked like, like Braveheart when he has like and she was like, one half of her face was like just literally covered in like, human coloured shit. It wasn't dog shit, and it stank. We think it was a tramp's turd. That's what we think it was. And it was all down, and she's very fluffy, and it was all over her her neck, her scarf, and like in the fur and everything. She got it all over her, and it was fucking disgusting. And she was trying to like run over to us, and we were like, no, like getting her to stand back and like shouting at her. And we were just like, just wait, like we're gonna get you home. And we were literally freaking out. Like, we were like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, how do we deal with it? It was just, we didn't have a bathtub. And we just couldn't even like believe it. It was just mental. And then like we were trying to wash her, and it was cold out. It was winter, and we were trying to wash her with the tap. They have like water fountains everywhere in the park, and we were trying to like get some of the water on her, but it just wasn't. It wasn't doing anything. So we took her back. We got her out. Luckily, if it had been just at my place, I fucking think, I don't even know what I would have done, because I just had like the world's smallest shower and just my apartment, and she would have been shaking and getting the shit everywhere. So we took her to Tara's place, and she had like a terrace, a ground floor terrace, and we put her out there. And we referred to it as the time we gave her the civil rights treatment, because we got a very powerful hose, and we fucking just hosed her down so much. And we got like some dog shampoo, I think. I don't know why, if we would have had dog shampoo. We had something. We used some kind of soap, and we just like, we hosed the life out of her. And, well, I did. Tara said she remembers like she was sat on the sofa, and she turned around and she looked out the French doors, and the dog was like looking at her, waiting to come in, and then suddenly she just saw this like jet of water, and she just was like, it was like, there's no holding back at this stage. Like, you're covered in shit, you're gonna literally be hosed into oblivion. So yeah, we just hosed her so much, and then we wrapped her in a in a blanket, and maybe I'll put a picture of that here when we wrapped her in a blanket. And it was like oddly I feel it was like the moment we sort of became a family, because we just it was so off-putting what she did, and it didn't matter. We just wanted to clean her up and look after her and everything. And she was really sulking, and so after the hosing, we ordered KFC, and we gave her some chicken tenders and stuff, and we all just somehow like really bonded over it. And she looked so cute under her blanket. I remember we were just like, she's just unbelievably beautiful. Like, she has the most incredibly beautiful face. And that was the point we were like, we have to have this dog, She's obviously tried to like, to warn us with the shit, but we just have to adopt her. And I told the owner, and I was like, yeah, you told her what happened, and she was like, oh yeah, she loves doing that. I was like, right. Okay, that's not really okay. I guess that's about all you can offer for, you know. She wasn't like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. She was like, yeah, she loves doing that. I was like, right, that's normal to you, is it? But anyway, it did happen again once, and Tara wasn't there to help. It happened once, and I had to just get her in the shower that time, I think. But anyway, so yeah, basically, long story short, we really wanted to adopt her, and we got into this weird limbo, and we had her for 2 weeks, and it was the most amazing 2 weeks. But it was like now, actually, because every day with her was so amazing, and we were so happy that it was extended. The time period was extended. It might have been an additional 2 weeks, so it might have actually been like 20 days total. I don't remember, but we were so happy that this time period had been extended, and we had more time with her. And every day I was just taking the longest walks with her, and it was so nice to be with her. And it was the first time either of us had felt happiness or love in like so long, and it was so different to what our lives had been, you know? It was such a different way to live. And she just showed us that, you know, like how to just like be happy and celebrate and just like be free and just like enjoy like a sunny day or being in the park or just playing around or just being together. And then at the same time as really enjoying every day, there was this horrible feeling like this is going to come to an end, and this woman's going to come back, and she's going to want the dog back, and we're never going to see her again, and this is going to haunt us for the rest of our lives, because we just loved her. Like with every day that grew by, we just loved her more and more, and it just became like just at the time it was well, no, not really. Doesn't matter. But we anyway, we pitched it to the owner while she was away, and it got very tense, and it was very hard to handle. And I for some reason I lied and said Tara was my sister. I thought because she'd think it was a more stable environment. If I said girlfriend, she might think, oh, he might break up. And I don't remember why, but we were really trying to like just do we just needed her to agree, and we were looking into all the legal shit, like when is the dog officially yours, what do you have to do, and all of this, and we had to like get it in writing, and it was very tense. She didn't want to. She burst into tears when we told her, when we asked her. She was like really shocked, and she just couldn't really communicate for like about a day. She said, I need time. And again, at the time, we didn't like her. We felt we were just like thinking to ourselves, just fucking give us the dog, you know, like she clearly wants to live with us. She wasn't getting walks. She wasn't being groomed. She had a lot of, you know, problems. And eventually it got to the point in the sort of negotiations where I kind of said, it was very delicate because I didn't want to piss her off, but I was saying like, I'm a bit, you know, worried about her. You know, she's got these infections and claws are very long and she's matted, and like we can give her a really, really good life. And the woman was like crying and crying and crying and everything. And then eventually she agreed. She agreed to give us the dog. And to jump ahead, I mean, now we have a very good relationship with this woman, and I understand in hindsight we're very judgmental because we come from a particular dog owning background where, you know, you almost put the dog above yourself, and that's not necessarily normal. But we were judgmental, and we also, you know, came to realize like probably this woman wasn't in the best place in her life and had maybe been through some stuff, and it was hard to look after the dog, and it was maybe sometimes hard to look after herself, and it wasn't always easy. And I came to realise how much she loved the dog because we have a relationship where every few months she checks in for an update. She doesn't know about what we found out yesterday yet. I haven't told her, but she checks in once in a while, and she really cares about the dog. And she now is always volunteering at dog shelters and stuff. I think just to have a dog full time and to look after it, and then to go out to work and not have anyone to look after it when she was out and the dog was going crazy and everything, it was just too much for her. And I think life just became overwhelming. She went through a breakup and stuff, and that was the other thing, is the dog was given to her by someone on Facebook and just said, you know, I'm getting rid of this dog, and she took it. and her and her boyfriend looked after it, and Luna loved her boyfriend apparently, like the previous owner's boyfriend. Apparently she was like obsessed with him and massively preferred him, and then they broke up and she got the dog, the woman got the dog, and Luna was apparently like heartbroken because she just absolutely loved this guy, and he was like her best friend. And I think she saw me as a replacement, you know, and always my biggest fear was like, if something happened to me, you know, because I didn't want her to feel abandoned, because she'd been abandoned twice, at least twice that we know of. And my biggest fear was that she would feel I'd abandoned her, and I just always have wanted to make sure I was there for her whole life and was there with her through everything, you know, in her last moments. And we adopted her anyway, and it's been the most amazing experience to have her. And at times she's been like really difficult, and at times she's been so kind, and she seems to know stuff. Like I said, she appeared like at Christmas, you know, and she was like, you two need to be together. And we're so happy now as a couple and as a family. And she forced us to like not fight, because she was like, we can't have these crazy fights around a dog. And she would get annoyed if we did. And she also, we lived in a place that was like quite chaotic. There was quite a lot of crime, and there was a lot of fireworks like in celebrations regularly, which Luna hated. And there was a lot of like very bad dog owners with like crazy pit bulls off lead. And so there was one guy who had literally like a pack of pit bulls that he used to let run around off lead. It was like pretty scary, and like he clearly didn't have control over them. There's a lot of like also crime there and stuff, and we lived there, and we were just there because it was, you know, where we were, and we didn't really think about leaving. And then Luna got a really bad injury, and we were forced to come here to the emergency vet. And luckily we came to this vet, and they're really good. And then when we came to this vet, while we were waiting to see if, you know, she was going to survive or not, she had this spinal injury. This was when we'd already had her for quite a while, you know, and she had this really bad injury. We don't know what happened, but she was paralyzed. And she was in with the vets, and we were just in like absolute peril over it, like just completely distraught, thinking, you know, she might not make it. Because watching her when she couldn't move her back legs, it was just so horrible. It was absolutely, in some ways it was worse, and it wasn't probably, but in some ways it was, you know, there was something about it was really, really bad. Watching her flap around like a fish on the floor, you know, it was just, yeah. And we were here, and we walked around. It's a boring place. It's very boring, but it's very quiet and very peaceful. And there's like sandy beaches where no one really goes. There's empty parks. There's like a lot of space. It's very peaceful. There's no celebrations. There's not all this noise. There's no crime. So we were walking around for days waiting for her at the vets, you know, to do all of these scans and all of this stuff. And we were away from her, and it was agony. But we were seeing this area, and we were thinking, okay, this is interesting. This isn't too far from where we need to be for work. And so it was like she brought us here, and we decided to move here, and she fucking loves it here. Like, there's no more fireworks, because there was like fireworks every weekend. I mean, she was like, you know, she would like tremble. It was actually having like a very bad effect on her health, all the fireworks and celebrations. There's no shitty dogs. There's no shitty people. There's no crime. There's no danger. It's quiet. She has the beach that she thinks is literally the best thing ever. Like, she thinks that section of beach is like, she thinks that is literally the best thing in the world. And I'm going to pause because these videos start to lag if I... Yeah, so we have all of that. And so we moved here because of her. And we were, when she was injured, we were praying, and we were like, and it's funny because when we were waiting to adopt her, we were doing the same thing. I remember praying to God so much, and I was like, if I can just have this dog, like, I will never complain about anything again. I will be grateful for the rest of my life if I can just adopt this dog. We thought about what it would be like to give her back and never see her again, and we knew that years later we would be thinking about it today. If we'd given her back when the owner came back from holiday, if we'd given her back, we'd still be thinking about that today. And every time we thought about it, it would fucking hurt, and we would wonder how she was, and we would feel like shit. And even if we adopted other dogs, we'd always wonder what happened to Luna and how she was, and we'd always miss her and always feel like we'd lost a family member, even though we'd only known her for a couple of weeks. We were that close instantly. And I was praying at that time. I said, I'll be grateful for the rest of, my life. And we got her. And I was for a couple of weeks. Then my mum got cancer, so it was a bit difficult, because I was like, I will never be upset about anything again. God, just let me have this dog. And there was about 2 weeks of literal heaven. I remember it was 2 weeks of the happiest I've ever been, by far. When we officially had the dog, it was literally like a cartoon. I was just so happy. And then, got this incredibly devastating news about my mum. I was like, oh, okay. I had a small window. But it doesn't matter, because I realised that that's the point. Is like, gratitude is not about being grateful when everything is perfect. It's about being grateful when everything is not perfect, but some things are good. When things are really bad, but there are some things to hold on to that are really good. When 90% of what's happening in your life is horrible, but there's 10% that's amazing. And it's about focusing on that and tuning into that and appreciating that and valuing it and making the most of it. And that's exactly what she taught us, like Luna carries a lot of trauma as well and has a lot of difficulties. But when things are good, when she's out on the beach, when she's with us, when something fun is happening, when she's not scared, when she's not upset, all she wants to do is be happy. She's not going, oh, but I have all these problems and everything else is bad and things aren't perfect and I'm upset about this. No, she just wants to be happy, and she's so grateful for us. Like, you can see it. She is so grateful. She always wants to tell us. She always tries to tell us thanks, like she's always trying to show us. Like, you can just see it in her eyes and the way she looks at us, and she's always trying to like lick us and like show us and be kind to us, and she's so grateful, and we're so grateful for her. And that's what she represented to us, was gratitude, and that's what it is just making the most of the things that are good, because they don't last forever, and there's other stuff that goes on that's bad. And you can have like you can have so much trauma and pain and difficulty in your life, and things can hurt so much, and you can feel so bad and lost and whatever else. But when there are things that you can feel good about, you should feel good about them, and you can. And you can enjoy all of that stuff through the pain. And and that's what she shows us every day, and it's what she's showing us today. And it's what she's showing us now that she's ill. Is trying to remember what's happening. It's trying to it's trying to have the courage to do that, to just be happy that she's happy and that she's having fun. And you could still be sad, of course, and you should be, It's healthy and it's normal. You're supposed to be. But also, don't let that rob you of the opportunities you have, because it will probably never be great, Like, after this, my mum's still ill, and my dad's not young, and who knows what will happen to me or my girlfriend, or what other crazy shit will happen in our lives. And there will always be something that is going to happen, or has recently happened, or is happening, that's bad for most people most of the time. And you have to find ways to get around that, or to not to get around that, but you can't let that destroy the positivity that you have in your life and that you're capable of in your mind. And so that's what she's shown us. So she got this injury, and we were praying and everything, and we said, if we can just have, like, well, when we adopted her, we said if we just get even 1 year with her, it was worth it. Even if she just has 1 year of being, because she was trapped all day in an apartment, and we were with her previous owner, and we were like, if we can just have 1 year with her, like, it'll be so, just for her to, it's better for her to have 1 year of being really happy and running around and playing with us and being loved and looked after, than to have another 4 years of being like stressed out. So we said just 1 year. We've had her now for, I think this might be 4 years. We're coming on to 4 years. I can't even remember, but we've had her for years. And it's felt like a dream. It's like a dream, honestly. And being around her, it's like a dream. It's like everything is different, and there's so much more colour and warmth. Everything just slows down, and it's so amazing to be around her. I want to go and be with her now, but I want to finish this video. But we got way more than a year, and then when she got injured, we were praying, and we were saying, we're convincing ourselves, we're saying we're going to bring her, we're going to move here, because she, this is better for her. We're going to move to this town, and we're gonna see her walking again, and we might even see her running around again one day. And we've seen her run around so much since then. Seen her so happy, and like, she's had so much fun since her injury. It was so fucking hard, man. I can't even believe it. It was like, she couldn't fucking move. And when we got her, we were so desperate to get her home. And they said she has to piss, or you can't take her home. If she can't piss by herself, she has to stay. And it was so hard to leave her in the vets. She hated it so much. And we finally got her to piss. We held her up with a thing, and we had to, for so long, she couldn't walk without a supportive band. And if we let go, she would just fucking drop to the floor. She would just fall over. And she just was in so much pain, and she couldn't move, and she couldn't do much at all, and she was basically paralysed. But we had her home, and we lived on the 5th floor, and there was no elevator, and she was heavy at the time. We realised now this was part of why she got injured, because she was heavy. Now she's 24 kg. At the time she was like 30, because that's what she was like when we got her. So we just kind of maintained her weight. And she's obviously much better being light, although now we're trying to, let her bulk up a bit while she's still hungry. But I had to carry her up and down every time she went for a piss, 3 times a day, down the stairs, up the stairs, and trying not to fall over. And we had shithead neighbours, like horrible people, really, really horrible people, who were like, their kids were like harassing us, and like, they were nasty little shits, like horrible kids. They would like trash the hallway and like throw food all over the floor and graffiti the walls and like knock on our door and break things. And I got into a fight with their granddad. He was a bum. They were just horrible, nasty people. And we lived directly opposite them, and the building was a shithole, and there were shitty dogs everywhere outside and shitty people. Didn't like that street at all. We were having to take her out and avoid everyone and avoid all these dogs and get her on this belly band and support her. It was so fucking hard, man. Because after that, all the floors are tiled in Spain, so everything had to be covered. And even now, our entire apartment is filled with rugs because she still has a psychological problem. She has a trauma about slipping on floors, and that was her injury. Was I guess her injury was more than 2 years ago, and it's still a daily thing to manage. She's fine physically. Her hips are funny, but she's fine. But it's just that sometimes she just goes crazy on the floor. She'll be fine for weeks. We'll walk her in the hallway of the building, and we can let go of the belly band, and we let her walk, and she's okay. And then she'll do that for weeks, and we go, oh, we don't need the belly band anymore. And then one day, she's terrified to go on the floor for no reason whatsoever. She's suddenly terrified, and she starts like going like this and sliding everywhere, and you have to grab her, and it's really horrible to watch. And we're always a bit worried, like when something happens to her, when she falls over quite a lot when we're playing. Not a lot, but, and she knows how to fall. She knows how to fall backwards and not hurt herself, but we're always a bit cautious if another dog jumps on her or she tries to play with another dog. So we've been hyper vigilant for the first year in particular. It was like, I think it was about 6 months before she could just walk in the park without us holding the belly band. It was and when they have IVDD, like most people say, they'll get loads of re-injuries and stuff and all of this. She didn't get any re-injuries because we were just so uptight about. It was like we were staying up all night to like help her turn over, and I think because we've done so much wrong in our lives, we've done so much like bad stuff to each other, and we have so many like regrets, and we've fucked up so much of our lives, and we've also been so starved of like warmth and family and connection and all of this stuff. I think it was easy to just pour love into this dog, and we've cared for her so much. Like, that's one thing we don't have any regrets about, is we've just done so much for her. We were just like, every single thing we did, we wouldn't let dogs near her at first because we didn't want her to, when she was injured. And whenever she would get up in the apartment, one of us would follow her, and we had a lot of fights about it. You didn't do this properly with her, you didn't do this, and we had to figure out so many systems and patterns and ways of living. And every time we chose an apartment, it had to have a lift, and we had to get carpets everywhere, and we had to do everything, and it was like an obsession. And anyone who would visit would just be like, this is fucking weird. But we knew they didn't know, they didn't get it, they didn't know, they didn't understand. And most people didn't. Most people just think these two are freaks. And we were like, that's fine, you can think what you want, we know what she needs. And we did, we were correct, because everyone says, oh yeah, all dogs with IVDD get re-injuries. It happens to all of them that have numerous re-injuries. She didn't get one, and I don't think she would have recovered from one. She was fucking paralysed when she had the first one. So it was like the second worst kind they can get, or it's the worst one. It's like whatever they do have a gradation system, and normally they get put down. Most dogs who have what she had get put down, or they fucking never walk properly again or whatever. Now she's like on sand, she's fine. On mud, grass, she's completely fine. And so we got so much more. I'm not sure deep down we believed truly that she would be running around and playing and jumping, and that we even let her run around with other dogs, which was always the hardest, because they do the weird thing, where they go down like that and they bend their spine, and because they jump on each other. So we're big dogs, we kind of try to avoid it, but it's okay. But like, it's always scary, and it's like that thing, you don't want to be like a helicopter, owner, but you also think, she's an old dog, she can't get a re-injury. So we're never relaxed. When we first had her, I remember like, I'd just be like, hey, just go over to those dogs, do this, run about off lead, I'll be alright as long as you don't roll in her shit again, I don't really care. And now it's completely different. For a long time it's been like hyper focused, hyper vigilant, like we're always looking out for anything that might hurt her or whatever, because we've been aware of the fact, like, she's not going to be around forever, and we have to like, also, the last thing we need is like another health problem, because she's had a lot of stuff. Anyway, that's basically how we get to today. And on the one hand, I feel cheated because she's only just turned 12, which is not that old, and she's a crossbreed, but we don't actually know how old she is. We thought she was younger because she seemed so much younger, and the owner doesn't quite remember, her previous owner. But then the previous owner said that she got her off some guy on Facebook who said she was 1. You would lie if you had a dog that was like 3 and you say, yeah, she's 1. So she could be like 15, she could be 10, we don't fucking know. But to us, she's 12. We've just settled on that. We gave her a date of birth that seemed accurate. And we've approximately figured out, based on what the owner said, that our best guess is that she's 12. And it feels harsh to find out what we found out yesterday. It was very extreme news. It was like full on. I mean, it was quite a thing to find out and to hear. It's just so like disturbing, like it's in her, and to look at her, and she's so, anyway, whatever. But on the other hand, like, all of us have had so much more than we probably could have expected out of this, and she's gained so much from us. And I don't think she would still be alive. I think that injury was coming because she had hip dysplasia and she was very overweight, we now realise. And she couldn't sit properly, and she always had dodgy hips. She was going to slip one day, like it was bound to happen. We think that's what happened on the wood floors, she just slipped. And if it had been with someone else, she would have been put down. But not with a lot of people. I'm not saying no one would have, kept her, but some people would have put her down. And I think the previous owner probably wouldn't have had much choice. She would have had to have put her down, because she would have, at the very least, after multiple re-injuries that inevitably would have happened, And so she's had so much from us, and we've had so much from her, man. Like, we call her like the vibes police, because it's like she always knows when something's off between us, and she always does stuff to make sure everything she does, like it guides our life in the right direction. And even when we're annoyed, like now, it's like we want to leave this town, we're so bored, and she's ill and we're not going to leave, and we're like, okay, she knows best. Like, we just trust that we believe, honestly, we believe like she's not, we believe she's like a gift from God, or she's like, and that's not because she's not real, she doesn't have agency, we just see her as, she's like, it's not that she's not, it's that it's like that we all met, it's like fate, it's like a divine blessing, like, because to say something is a gift from God, it's like objectifying, but it's not like that. It's just like that our paths like converged in a way that's like magical. It was like she needed us and we needed her, and somehow miraculously we found each other in a way that's like hard to imagine is a coincidence when you're around her, And she's just like golden, and she just radiates this incredibly like beautiful energy, and like, she's really dumb in the way dogs are dumb. Like, she's very dumb, like, in terms of common sense and practical stuff, but she's fucking smart otherwise, like, about, like, emotionally intelligent. It's unbelievable, like, she really doesn't like it if we start, like, doing anything negative or bad. Like, she's always, like, it's hard to describe. It's weird, man. And then we've been thinking about having kids lately, in a couple of years, probably, and we both kept thinking in the back of our mind, we really want the dog to live for a long time, but we were like, we're alone. We don't have anyone. We're completely alone. We have no friends. We have no family around. And we were thinking, man, like, we're going to have an old dog and babies. And imagine if she, my girlfriend's pregnant and the dog dies or something, it just seemed like we were just like, well, we'll just do what we can. We'll just deal with it as best we can. But the thought of it was like, if we were dealing with this now and like she was pregnant or there was a toddler around, I can't imagine. Like, and it's almost like the dog was here for the period where we all need each other, and she knows what that is, It's like she just somehow she has this like innate knowledge, and she just guides us. She's like a spiritual guide, And the problem is, I just cannot imagine it just being two of us again and being, it's not this part, like, because this part is really painful and sad, but it's like cathartic kind of sad, and it's happy as well. And even dying is like, it's very sad, but there's a I think sometimes when someone, a human or a pet, is very ill, there's some level of relief in death, because at least that the uncertainty is gone and the hanging on is a finality. But then after that, there's just going to be this fucking bleak emptiness where she once was, this like void. And we can't get another dog because, as I said, we're going to have kids soon, and it's too much. We can't handle it. And also, I don't think we want another dog, because of all of this, and we'll never replace her. But the thought of just coming home and her not being there when we get home, and the thought of like what we're going to do with all her toys and all of her stuff, and like the thought of all the things that will remind us of her. And so many, we've like literally like 10,000 fucking photos of her. She's so photogenic. She's like the most beautiful photogenic dog I've ever seen. Like, I used to put pictures of her on Instagram and stuff, and people would be like, your dog should be a model. Like, every time we used to just every time we took a picture of her, she just looked unbelievably cute. And and we're trying to tell ourselves, like, all of these reminders of her, they have to be positive. All of it has to be, not, you can be sad, of course, but also like to be grateful. And the thing is that she's such a good dog, and she's so kind, that that's what she wants. Like, and that message is so clear from her that it will help us so much. And that's how kind she is we know that she just so badly wants us to be okay, and she wants us to be happy. And it means that when she does die, we aren't going to fall back into drugs and bad habits and negativity and self-destruction, because we know that she wouldn't want us to. And that's what's such a gift for her to give us, and it makes things so much easier. So that's what we're trying to do. And then when we got the news yesterday, I was like, right, so there's such a transitional time in our lives. I'm trying to do so many projects at once, and there's so much stuff I'm trying to do and trying to achieve. And there's a lot of pressure. It's really hard. And I was like, well, I was starting to feel like I was making progress. I was like, my life has been like, at times it's felt like one failure after another. Like, I can't get anything going for myself, and I felt like I've got this path in my head at the moment, and it was clear, and I was like, I genuinely feel like I'm working towards something here. And I was talking about it the other day with Tara. I was like, I feel this is the most confident I've ever felt about like what I'm doing and where I'm headed, and I just need to work my arse off, basically. And then we got the news, and I was like, well, that's horrible timing, and I have to just I can't do anything now, and I'm going to cancel the album I'm working on. I'm going to stop promoting this book, and I'm going to stop doing all this other shit because I can't do it. And then I just thought, like, that's a horrible way to honor her, like, it's a horrible way to treat her illness, and it's just not right, it's not right. And it would be performative in a way, I think, to do that. And you have to, there's no shame in doing things for yourself, or in being happy, or in wanting things and trying to achieve things and do things. And that is literally what she would want me to. She wants the pack to be as strong as possible, and she wants us to be well, and she doesn't want us to have to rebuild our lives when she's and also we don't know, because we've been looking at a lot of stuff about turkey tail mushroom and melatonin and all this different stuff, and she's so well now that if we can like pause things and delay things for a bit, like, then, you know, she could be around for a while, like a year or more maybe. I mean, like, it looked like the tumours were pretty advanced, but it could be a month, it could be a year. It's hard to get my head around, but that's how it is. Yeah, basically, like, we're gonna enjoy all the time we can with her. We're gonna keep doing everything else that we were doing. We're gonna keep trying to get our lives together. We're gonna enjoy time with each other as much as possible as well, and allow ourselves to be sad, but also allow ourselves to be happy, and make sure that she's well, and try to give her as long as possible and make her as comfortable as possible. And it's just it's an emotional roller coaster. There's times I feel good, like times I feel like, yeah, this is fine, we can deal with this, and this is okay, and this is natural, and this happens. And then there's other times it's like unbearable. And last night we were watching TV, we were doing something, we were like, okay, we're all right, you know, we're tired, we'll sleep well. And we both got into bed, and you're just afraid, you just didn't want to turn the light off, you know, you just don't want to be alone with your thoughts. Like, I felt like a child last night, like, because I haven't felt like that since I was literally a child, where I didn't want to turn the light off because I was scared to be alone in the dark. And I was scared. I was like, I don't want to face my own thoughts right now. And when you're active and you're doing stuff, it's okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna, to some degree, I guess, like, I'll, you know, I got a really good video of her today on the beach. It was so nice, and I'm gonna post that. These videos will all be on it. There's so many videos lately that were initially to promote the book, and then this has happened, and there's a backlog. Everything will be like very delayed. So this is I probably recorded this like quite a while before it's out, like at least a week. But I'm gonna keep doing stuff to promote the book, and I realized as well, because this whole book is about gratitude practice really, and positivity, positive thinking. And I realized the other day, I was like, she fucking taught me that, man. And like, if I can, because I felt like, oh, I want to continue doing what I'm doing, but it feels wrong, or like I shouldn't be doing this, I should be upset. And I thought, like, if I can help other people and teach other people how to be positive and grateful, that's exactly what she taught me. And really, I only wrote this book because of her, when I think about it, you know. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I'm going to force myself to be positive and to do a good job, and to keep doing all the other shit we're doing, and just to give 100%. Yeah, that's all anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry, I understand a lot of this was a fucking low energy, like, drag. Probably I'm surprised if anyone watched until the end. Yeah, and when I posted a short about this the other day, a lot of people posted messages of like support and were extremely kind, and I really appreciate that. It's really nice, and I feel like the dog owner community is very so many people understand, and so many people have been through this, or, you know, can imagine, and that's really good. Yeah, I hope you and your pets, if you have them, are all well. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.